I don't know where God will take me. I do believe that God has provided me with discernment. And like you just mentioned, you have to just walk through the doors. And sometimes, the path, you can even see beyond your foot, like your first footstep there. And I'm not exactly sure where that's going, but I do feel inside me that this is the direction I'm supposed to be going in. And so I'm just going to trust and I'm just going to walk. And that honestly has been the theme of my professional and personal life. And that continues to strengthen my faith in God and really just say that I have no idea what I will do. I have no idea where God will take me. I just know that I will recognize when it's time to make a move, even if I don't know what the move is.
Hey guys, it's Nancy, and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts, and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real, and let's laugh.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the She Laughs Without Fear podcast. I'm so excited to introduce someone whose life and work truly embody courage, compassion, and calling. I actually first met Fatima a few years ago before COVID when she would come to the studio gym at Fit Fusion where I was an instructor and she would take my class. And even then, I remember being struck by her spirit and her presence and how she carried herself with both strength and kindness. Fatima is the daughter of immigrants and a proud first-generation Latina raised on the southeast side of San Antonio, Texas. She now serves as strategy manager for Methodist Healthcare Ministries, helping guide impact and strategy across 74 counties in South Texas. Before this, she served as Southwest Regional Counsel for MALDEF, where she led civil rights impact litigation and policy across the 9 states. Wow. She's testified before the Texas legislature, represented unaccompanied child immigrants with RAICES, and was appointed a Wasserstein Public Interest Fellow at Harvard Law School, mentoring students pursuing public interest work. She's been honored with the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber's Advocacy Award and named a distinguished young alumna by her law school. But what warms my heart most is the way she shows up with passion, humility, faith, and a deep sense of purpose. So grab your coffee because today we're diving into what it means to be led with conviction, to stay grounded in your story, and to laugh without fear of the future. Fatima, welcome to She Laughs. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. You always bring me so much joy, and I am just really excited to catch up with you and to talk. And this is just such a beautiful platform. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. And you've accomplished so much in your young age, and I'm anxious for everybody to hear about your story. So I kind of want to start with, you're the daughter of immigrants and a proud first-generation Latina from San Antonio. How has that shaped the woman you've become and the way you see your purpose?
That is a wonderful question. It has definitely been my foundation, I think, in a lot of the passion pursuits that I have experienced in my life and the work that I have done, but also the compassion that I have for people. My dad is from El Salvador and my mom is from Mexico. And we moved to San Antonio when I was only 3 years old. And that side of town is majority, people of color. But even within that population, having immigrant parents was a different experience. I always felt a bit different than my peers growing up for different reasons, just like the cultures and traditions of my household were different. My name has always been, I think, a bit difficult for people. And I also experienced my father going through experiences that he had at work that really then inspired my pursuit into civil rights work. And so seeing a lot of that happen, although you can't really grasp it. You don't really understand why it's happening. You just sort of see the effect that, discrimination is having on your parent and how heavy that is. It really inspired me to want to help people. And I witnessed that when my dad first hired an attorney to help him with his discrimination lawsuit, that was really the first time that I saw my dad have hope. And I just thought to myself, like, well, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to become an attorney and I'm going to help people that need help. And I don't exactly know what that looks like, but I know that I want to be just a channel of hope and advocacy for people who don't know where to turn. And so that really did inspire then a lot of my life's work professionally and personally so far.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that about you. Okay, so seeing your dad experience that inspired you to pursue what you're doing now. My question is, back then, do you think it was more, I'm just curious,
Sure.
more prevalent, the discrimination than what you see now? Or do you think it's the same? I mean, my hope and prayer is that it's gotten better if it's not eradicated, which I know it's not. But what do you
Right.
see there in your line of work?
I unfortunately see that people feel more comfortable, I think, being prejudicial and being discriminatory publicly and openly, which is really scary. And I think it's dangerous. And I think that there's still a lot of work to be done. But on the other side of that, I also see a lot of pride growing among people who are experiencing those things. And I see a lot of hope. And I really just have to focus on the hope and how can I be helpful in that pursuit of hope and just improving quality of life really for everybody. I would like to be a channel, I think, of peace. And that's where my focus is in whatever way that I can achieve that. But I think that times we've seen history has shown it ebbs and it flows and it comes out in different ways. And I think that we're very much experiencing that and we will continue to be. And when we're experiencing it in real time, it can be really difficult to remember that things always get better. But I do believe that things will get better.
Oh, good. I love hearing that. And I mean, talking about change and wanting things to get better. I know that you have testified before the Texas legislature and led major civil rights work. What does that feel like to walk into those rooms as a young Latina woman speaking truth to people in power? Like, what did that feel like?
Truthfully, I never thought that I would be a person who would go into policy. And I think that that should be just because attorneys can do work in many ways. But when we traditionally think of attorneys, we think of them like in the courtroom and they're representing a client. And so the thought or the idea of doing work at the Texas legislature and testifying before governing bodies and working on policy had never crossed my mind. But once I discovered it, and I definitely believe that God led me to that, it just felt like the perfect fit. I love policy and I love advocacy in my heart. That is really where my passion lies in the ways that I really enjoy and feel the most fulfilled in doing the work that I do because it connects me with people and I feel really energized by that. However, I will say that testifying has been and can be really intimidating for many reasons. Oftentimes, I was the only Latina in a room. Oftentimes, I was the only one taking a certain position on a really controversial bill. For many reasons, I would be the only female in a room, or I would be the only woman of color in a room. And so, all of those things were really intimidating, but it also just made me want to stand up taller and remind myself, like, well, I am in this room, I'm here for a reason. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in providence. And so if I am in a place at a certain time, I am supposed to be there. And I truly believe that God has led me there. I will say that the first time I testified, I remember feeling very hot right when my name got called. And I for sure thought that I would pass out in the committee room right before I went up to testify. I did not, but I really, for a couple of seconds, was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's about to happen. But I can say that all of the times that I did testify, I was really proud of myself. I think I did a really good job. And I represented the people that I was there to represent the best way that I could.
I am so impressed. I mean,
Thank you.
He's so scary to walk in there. I mean, even if everybody, I think looked the same, it would be terrifying, much less, feeling different,
Right.
probably younger than a lot of them. That probably was
Yes.
a little bit, intimidating too. But I just think it's amazing. So I
Thank you.
could do that. Yeah. I mean, that's really impressive. That shows to me your passion for what you do. And people, I think, with passion, they show up. They can't help not show up,
Right.
right? I mean, fuels them. And to say, I wrote down what you said, that you don't believe in coincidence, you believe in providence. I love
Yes.
that.
Thank you.
Me, sister. Yeah. Well, okay, along that, other difficult things you've done, which I really want people to hear all of these, it's not just one event. It's not just going in front of the legislature. It's also, passing the bar, taking the bar, doing all this. You've gone to law school, but you've also seen difficult reality working
Mhm.
with unaccompanied children and families in crisis.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that and how you learned to carry those stories without losing hope. And if you have one in particular to share, I think that helps us all be able to identify with it because most of us listening haven't done what you've done.
Right.
So I don't know if you have a story or something you could share with us that helped you be able to carry these without losing hope.
Sure. And I appreciate you asking about that very much. When I graduated law school, I always wanted to work at MALDEF. MALDEF had always been the ultimate goal for me. And there were no positions open at that time. And so I was in a place where I was like, well, I don't know what to do because that's my dream job. And so in the meantime, what do you do? Right. But like I said, God always leads you where you are supposed to go. And Raisa's actually reached out to me and offered me a position in their children's program, representing unaccompanied migrants, children migrants that had arrived to San Antonio. This was in 2013. And it honestly, I know that, very much in the press and in the media that a lot of these sort of like visuals and stories and occurrences are more public now and they are more publicly discussed and they're at the top of many agendas for news shows and talk shows and a lot of it is politicized. There's a lot going on. At that time, that was not happening. I am raised in San Antonio. I have lived here since I was 3 years old. And I had absolutely no idea the work that was being done in San Antonio with this population. I just was so unfamiliar with this entire system, honestly. And so when I accepted the position with Raices, it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to be doing. I did not want to truthfully practice immigration law, but it was a position. I needed to start paying my student loans, and it was where I went. And so I went, and it was a wonderful organization. I grew so much professionally and personally and made some lifelong friends when I was at Raices, and they all did incredible work. But I went into this sort of more obscure program that I had never heard of, and it introduced me to unaccompanied children migrants, to the detention facilities that they are detained in, that San Antonio has several of them. And Raices was the only legal service provider for those detained children at that time. I'm not sure at this moment, but I was assigned a detention facility that had a maximum capacity and was often filled to capacity of 110 children. And I was the only attorney assigned to that detention facility. And so, you're going into this facility, you're meeting with children and asking them very difficult questions that would be difficult to ask even some of your closest friends as an adult. I mean, you have to ask them about, their home life. You have to ask them about their parents. You have to ask them if there's any trauma. They have to go into detail about their trauma. And oftentimes you're speaking with children that are 3 years old. They're just learning how to talk. They're just learning how to function all the way up until 16, 17 years old. And then having to get really detailed information from them as much as you can, because that is what's going to help you determine if there's a way that you can help them in a legal sense. And so I did that work for 4 years. And I was always assigned to a children's shelter and would be the attorney that would either, if they qualified, if they were eligible for some sort of potential legal relief, I would help them apply for that before a federal agency. And I would also represent them in immigration court. And so that was an experience sitting up there, with a 5-year-old child, and you're both standing in front of a judge, and then there's opposing counsel next to you. And it's not something I ever envisioned for my life, but I know I helped a lot of people who needed help. And not just them, but it goes beyond them. It goes into their family members who are back home and want to know that their child is okay, that there's somebody with them in an entirely different country who has their best interest at heart, that they're just having their basic necessities meet, that they have an advocate. And so I got to do that for 4 years. I still keep in touch with some of my clients from that time. I've received messages from them over the years telling me just how much I changed their life and how grateful they are for me. And that's not something that you ever take into account. I think when you're doing the work, you just have your head down and you're just like fueled to really help people and do the best job that you can. And then when you take a step back and you get those messages, it really is just, I think, shining a beautiful light on work that was really difficult to do personally. Like, it took a toll on me, but that I'm really proud of that I got to do it and that I did it well.
Golly, that is amazing. So, okay, these are children that came into our country
Mhm.
without a parent. Is that right?
Yes, without an adult.
Without an adult. So, for instance, the 5-year-old, where you were 5-year-old, and there's opposing counsel. What are we litigating here? What are we arguing? What's
Their deportation.
Oh, to send them back. Okay. And if they stay, where would they stay? And if they're, or I guess when you're asking them these questions, you try to determine if sending them back is a safe place for them to go, or why are you
Well,
asking about prior trauma if their parents aren't here?
in immigration law, there are several forms of legal relief that you can apply for if you are eligible, right? And so eligibility criteria varies across the board. And so at that time, and I haven't practiced immigration law in about 8 years. So I know that the landscape has changed quite a bit. So I'm not sure if any of the criteria has changed the landscape in terms of approval or anything like that. But at the time, there was a form of legal relief through immigration law that if a child met certain criteria, like they were a juvenile, they had arrived here in a certain way, they had experienced certain trauma, not necessarily asylum, but it was a different kind of legal relief. And then within that, you had to qualify through certain forms of trauma. And so you had to be very detailed about it. Then, once you met with the child and you gathered that information for that specific type of visa, you would have to actually go to the Bexar County courthouse and appear before a state court judge to get an order saying that that judge believes that they were potentially, well, I'm saying potentially because there were just different forms of trauma, that they were neglected, they had been abused, they had been abandoned. And if the judge signed that state court order, then you took that state court order, you included it then in an application that you sent to a federal immigration agency for them to consider approving them for a certain type of visa. And then while that's happening, they're being set for immigration court. And so opposing counsel is trying to have them deported before anything gets approved for them. And so then before an immigration judge saying, like, well, we have applied for something, this is the status of the application, we've had an interview, whatever it may be, providing those updates to the judge so that the judge knows that there is actually something happening in their case, that they are seeking a form of legal relief. And then you're trying to make sure that they remain in the United States while they continue to pursue that legal relief before being deported. And it's possible that they had no real home back in their home country or in their country of origin. They didn't have a safe household. They didn't have a parent available or a guardian in the household. All different kinds of stories. So
Wow.
it was always many different, I think, processes happening at the same time.
Yeah. And a
Mhm.
race the clock, it sounds like, too.
A race against the clock, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So there's so much you've done. You've gone from the courtroom to being strategy across 74 counties,
Mhm.
Methodist healthcare ministries. tell us a little bit about Methodist Healthcare Ministries and your role there and the shift, like what keeps you connected to your why through all these
Mhm.
changes.
Mhm. I'm very excited. I did make a really strong pivot, I will say, from the law to now doing strategy and impact work at Methodist Healthcare Ministries. So after Raices, I worked at Malda for close to 8 years doing impact litigation and doing legislative and policy work. And then it was time for me to make a change. And I recognized that. I felt that within myself. I spent about a year having conversations with myself about, making such a strong pivot, because right now I'm not practicing law in the ways that I have before in my new position at Methodist Healthcare Ministries. And so that's been a big change for me. But I am still very much serving and advocating for and empowering the communities that I care about and that I hopefully will continue to serve throughout my career. So I made the shift about 3 months ago. I've only been there 3 months. And Methodist Healthcare Ministries is a wonderful organization. They traditionally, for the first 25 years of their existence, they did more access to healthcare and providing access to healthcare for individuals who are the least served and are uninsured and are not able to receive the healthcare that they need for whatever it is that they have going on. And Methodist Healthcare Ministries about 5 years ago what noticed that they were doing all of this responsive work to these communities and individuals, but the numbers and data were showing that health disparities were still growing and that there was a lot of need still in the community that they weren't helping to meet the needs. They decided to then expand and to use their resources to help in the pursuit of health equity for these communities. And I pause there because health equity is the goal, but it's also the process in which we pursue it. So, health equity is really looking at other factors that affect a person's quality of life and their quantity of life. And that could be food, it can be shelter, it can be, right, it's housing, it is the quality of water, it is education, it is economic mobility. It is a slew of factors that really we all take for granted, but all of these things impact our quality of life and how long we live. And so when they made that shift about 5 years ago, their strategy also shifted. And so I have been brought on as a strategy manager for their strategy and impact team, where we really help to determine different avenues that we can continue to pursue health equities for these counties. Many of the counties that we serve, because it's 74 counties from Austin to South Texas, are rural, where they don't have a lot of resources. And there's a lot of need there. It could be digital equity, and they don't have access to the internet, or they don't have access to devices to even access the internet. And many of them, if they don't have transportation, or if they don't even have a clinic nearby, they don't have the internet, then they also can't do telehealth. All of these things come together. And so we really are working with different partners here in Texas, nationally, with communities for communities to help determine what their needs are, the priority of their needs, and how we can meet their needs. And so it's really just a beautiful process. Many of these organizations and groups that I am working with now through Methodist Healthcare Ministries, I represented them as clients at MALDEF. And so we've represented many organizations. And so now it's really nice to be like, hello, and reintroduce myself, but in this new way that I continue to help them and to serve them. So that's been really wonderful for me. And I'm honestly still learning so much about the job. No day is the same. It is a wonderful organization. Everybody has been so supportive there. And I'm really just I'm learning a lot too, because the way that I worked with these communities in the past was in like these very defined ways. And now it's like, oh, I'm learning holistically more about what their experiences are. And so it's been wonderful for me.
Golly, I think this is so cool. I mean, look at all the doors that have opened as you walked through the one in front of you, right? It wasn't easy, I know. You had to work at everything you've done, but each time you put in the work and had the faith, it's like another door opened and took you into another very meaningful
Right.
role. And I love this. And I love it for the women listening who have daughters or sisters or even themselves to see God will meet you where you are if you are, and if you are in his will for you, or even if you are hoping to be, but you're somehow getting it wrong, he sees your heart and
Right.
will be there, right? Through your journey. I just think it's amazing. Because so many of us sit there on our couch going, well, I can't do that. Well, I can't do that. I mean, and you walked into a room that takes the legislature and you just kind of said, here it is, guys, and
Right.
that's amazing. Okay. I have a question that just popped into my head.
Sure.
Do you ever think you would pursue a role in politics? Because I think he'd be a great politician. I don't even know what party you're with. I don't need to know. It doesn't matter. But you just speak with such grace and it doesn't come across as preachy. So
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say.
it's passion and not preachy. And I love that. So have you thought about that at all? Should we try it? Maybe you should. You're good.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
The thought has crossed my mind in the past, and I have been approached about it a few times. I don't know where God will take me. I do believe that, like, God has provided me with discernment. And like you just mentioned, you have to just walk through the doors. And sometimes the path, you can even see beyond your foot, like your first footstep there. And it's like, I'm not exactly sure where that's going, but I do feel inside me that this is the direction I'm supposed to be going in. And so I'm just going to trust and I'm just going to walk. And that honestly has been the theme of my professional and personal life. And that continues to, I think, strengthen my faith in God and really just say that I have no idea what I will do. I have no idea where God will take me. I just know that I will recognize when it's time to make a move, even if I don't know what the move is. That's the like biggest lesson of 2025 for me. I didn't know what the change would be after Maldev. I just knew that it was time for a change, and God has put me exactly where I am supposed to be. So I don't know. Maybe I think that if I really do feel like I could do good work in that kind of position, I would strongly consider it.
Yeah, I think you'd be great. Are your parents just so you? They have to be. I mean,
Yeah, they
it's
are. That's what they tell me, and I believe it.
I know they are. I know they are. It's just amazing. Okay, well, you'll have my vote, whatever party, because I love you.
Thank you so much.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, this podcast, the name of it, She Laughs, is built on, Proverbs 31:25, which says she laughs without fear of the future. So, what does that verse mean to you right now where you are in your journey?
I definitely think that that means that I just have to continue. Oh my gosh. Do you see? Is that a sign? No coincidences. My AirPod fell out. And wait. I'm like that. I can't always figure out what the signs are when they're happening. And it's something. I definitely think that it means, and there I am laughing without fear, right? Perfect example. Yes. I just really have to be present and I just have to just like trust my faith. I have to trust in God. And I honestly have no idea where my life will take me. The plans that I have had in my life, they did not look like anything that my life looks like now. And I think that's beautiful. And I honestly am just reminded that God's plan is always greater than my own. And I just honestly have to be present. I just have to have gratitude for all of it. And even when things feel really uncertain, they feel scary, everything is unpredictable, I just have to remain really rooted in my faith. I have to continue to laugh and be joyful and just express gratitude for all of it.
Gosh, I love that. Amen, sister. Okay, so
Thank you.
and one last question. What secret would you share with other women about finding courage and joy even when the world feels heavy?
I would say to have gratitude. My life looks very different at 39 than I thought it would, but I am also really grateful for everything that I have and that I don't have, because I just have to believe that this is God's plan for me. And I just really have to remain grateful in all of it. And I think just be as brave as you can be. I think that I used to think like no fear, no fear, like what I'm going to remind myself, and that's what's going to push me through. And what I really learned is that it's okay to be fearful, but you just have to be brave. And if you do not know what's next, but you recognize that something needs to change, do it. Just take the first step. And I promise you that the rest will unfold. It not every step will be beautiful, but everything will turn out beautifully.
Gosh, I love that. That is a perfect way for us to wrap up because you are beautiful. And
Thank you. So are you. I'm so grateful that I got to catch up with you and that you even considered me for this. So thank you very
oh,
much.
right, you are so impressive. And even older women to be inspired because I believe that no matter what age, if you're still breathing and on the planet Earth, God still has purpose for you, right?
Yes.
And so I want everyone just to be inspired by you. 39 is so young. And I do, I say, okay, nobody hits 40 and it's like, oh my gosh, my life is exactly like I thought it would be. This is,
Right.
exactly it. This is awesome. Nobody does. And at first we're like, but why? And then we realize when we get some distance, we think, okay, now I get it. And it's may have been harder at times than I would have liked. It's given me a closer, more intimate relationship with God, with,
Right.
with more depth, more layers. I tell my kids all the time, I don't ever want to sit next to someone at a dinner party who has not lost, right? In some way, in some capacity. It's someone they love or a job or, an opportunity or whatever, because it brings a depth to you that would not otherwise have. And God knows that, which is why I think, Jesus said, in this world, you will have trouble, and
Right.
he didn't promise us a rose garden, but he did promise us that he would be with us through it. And everything you said is amazing and so beautiful.
Thank you.
So
I
thank
totally
you.
co-signed everything that you just said. I will say that I do truly feel like the difficult parts of my life have made me more compassionate and have made me more relatable to people to where they feel comfortable sharing with me. And those are things that I do not take for granted. And when I'm going through difficult experiences and experiencing loss in whatever way that may be, I always come out on the other side of it being able to relate to more people in a more in-depth way. And I think that that is just so beautiful. So I truly believe we get to know God more through the more difficult times.
100%. Me too. Yeah. Okay. Everybody, I know y'all loved her as much as I do. If you would like to follow Fatima on Instagram, I'm going to spell
I'm
this.
sorry, y'all, that my Instagram handle is so silly.
Before I spell it, do you want to say it and spell it for everybody? Okay.
Sure. No, I can say it. So my first and middle name are Fatima Lucia. And so it's Fatima, it's the at sign at FATIMALUCIAA.
Yes. Thank you. And
You're welcome.
thank you for taking that. I couldn't have done it. And we will have her LinkedIn profile as well on the caption. And if you're driving and missed that and wanted to write that down, we'll have her Instagram there too. So, Fatima, thank you so much. I'm so
Thank
excited
you, Nancy.
where your journey takes you. It's just so fun to watch.
The same. I feel the same for you. I'm so excited for you. And I am just, you're such a light. You have always been such a light for me. Honestly, I was really nervous going to a new gym. And you were just, I remember you instantly, and I'm not just saying this, just standing out to me and just being so bright and so warm and welcoming. And I don't know if you hadn't been there, if I would have kept going back, but you definitely made me feel comfortable and you continue to. So thank you very much.
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. I'm so
Thank you. I'm so grateful for you.
Glad you're here, and you're just an inspiration. So stay in
Thank you.
touch. Okay. Promise.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening today, and we'll see you next time on She Laughs. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.